morning. So today's the day I'm testing out Sweet Morphine from Nihilo. Now I really hope I'm saying that right. If anyone can correct me, please go for it and let me know how to say it. If you can spell it out phonetically in the comments, that would be great. But for now I'm going to call it Nihilo. Maybe I shouldn't be pronouncing it Nihilo. So much emphasis on the ho. Sweet Morphine has had a lot of love in the community, definitely in the Facebook groups. I've seen a lot over the last couple of years of people raving about this fragrance, and it's one of those, it seemed to get a bit of hype and then a couple of people spoke out and said that they didn't think it was all that, you know, that buzz passed. But then I never quite got round to testing it. It's not one that's that easy to find, but I found it in France, in Paris, in the Galeries Lafayette. I found Nihilo and I pounced on the tester bottle. Definitely smelled very nice, but I was already covered in fragrance. I couldn't test it on skin. Luckily, the young man that was running the counter let me have a sample. So here it is, and I'm going to give it my first wearing today and give you a brief review. So let's go for it. I have no idea what the strength or the performance is like, so I'll probably do, it feels quite light when you first spray it, so I'm probably going to go and do a little bit more around and about, maybe underneath my jumper as well, a couple on my wrists, just to give it that proper testing, because it's not fair sometimes to test a fragrance from a sample and be a bit tight with it and then moan about it not being strong or long lasting, because if you only put on a tiny bit, what do you expect? So I'm probably going to do about half the sample just to be sure we're giving it a nice fair test. So far, what do I smell? It's reminding me a little bit of Hypnotic Poison from Dior. So I'm smelling a very light almond vanilla thing. It's quite sharp. There's probably some kind of sharp fruity note, something like lychee, maybe even pear. There's nothing heavy so far. So far so good. I definitely like this. It's certainly in the right ballpark for me to enjoy. But let's give it a proper test and I'll figure out whether it's something I want to put on my to buy list, which actually there's not much on my to buy list whatsoever, because I am very fussy. I know what I like and I don't want to own anything that I'm not going to be reaching for. Anyway, that will do for now. We are in the morning. I'm about to go to work and I'll probably give you an update or two later on. So, final thoughts on Sweet Morphine from Nihilo. I've worn it all day long. It's now 7:30 in the evening and I'm wearing other perfumes because I didn't think it lasted the whole day. It gave me about 6 hours of a light aura of scent, and about that point, about the 6 hour mark in, I felt like it was just too light and therefore I ended up spraying some other stuff. But let's talk about how it smells anyway. So when it first opens up, I am completely reminded of Hypnotic Poison from Dior, but it's in with a much lighter touch. Also a little bit like the female version of the One, Dolce & Gabbana, I believe that is. So in that sense, it smells almondy, light and vanilla-y, but with a slightly floral, fruity vibe. The fruits are light yet tart and slightly sweet, kind of like lychees. I'm thinking light pink fruits, but I'm not specifically saying pear or apple, but just a kind of a fruity vibe, a melee of fruits, but not anything heavy or cloying or like the modern day designer female fragrance, which is just like super sweet, fruity in your face. This is a very, very light fruit with some sweet almond and vanilla. It has got a smooth and very balmy feel. Very, how can I put it? So not exactly like a lotion smell, but I'm just going to spray a touch more on my hand just to remind myself the opening. Now, as you can see, I did spray half of that, so I think that's a fair amount to spray to give it a good test. It's 2 mils there, so I sprayed almost a whole milliliter on myself, and I think that's more than a normal person would spray. Yeah, there's this smooth base, this smooth, silky, almondy, vanilla-y thing with the fruits floating on top. Very pretty. I think most people would find it a bit feminine. If you're wondering whether you'd wear it as a man, you just need to be comfortable with a gourmand-esque fragrance that's a bit floral and a bit fruity as well. It's not overtly feminine and it's not in your face. It's a very, very light and subtle scent. I have written notes. I've written down sweet, fruity, subtle, discreet, and a tinge of powder. So it's like there's this light dusting of talcum powder on the top, but only very lightly, barely audible, barely olfactorable. In the dry down, it kind of mellows out. It's very light, it smells very clean. It's slightly sweet. There's definitely a lot of musks going on. I would say there's a lot of clean, synthetic musk going on in there. Some of those musks that people can be anosmic to. So I don't know that I'm smelling everything in this fragrance. I feel like I might be a bit anosmic to some of the notes and some of the musk notes. So whilst I get a general muskiness, and it kind of reminds me a little bit actually of Vagabond Prince, Swan Princess. If you've tried that, the muskiness of that, the really clean, addictive, beautiful muskiness of Swan Princess, it's kind of got that. Also, if you think Tehota, think the muskiness of Tehota from Indult. Is it Indult? Whatever they are. So in the far dry down, once sort of fruitiness is subsided, and it doesn't go, but it just gets lighter and lighter, I noticed a savoury-like note on my skin, and it's a bit peppery and a bit herby. So I was wondering if there's Immortelle in there, but only a barely noticeable amount if it's Immortelle, or if not, there's like there's almost like a contradiction of something sweet and peppery and savoury all at the same time, but it's very, very light. It's not like someone else is going to pick it out as you walk by and think you smell like peppery herbs. Not at all. But if you go doing that like I am all day long, then you'll notice a slightly peppery yet sweet, syrupy thing, but it's very, very light. To me, it's a non-perfume. I mean, it starts off smelling like a perfume, but where it's so musky and so light and so ethereal, it's the kind of perfume you pick when you're not looking for anyone to really notice you. It's a subtle and very sophisticated perfume. The kind of perfume I would reach for if I was going for a job interview, or I just wanted to be very, very discreet and I didn't want to be very loud in what I was wearing. So if I was going to have to be in a crowded place, but not like a pub or anything like that, because you want something strong for that situation. But if I was going to be maybe going to the theatre and there's people both sides of me, or if you're going for a formal dinner, I mean, you'll smell absolutely beautiful if anyone's allowed to get close to you. But otherwise, people aren't really going to notice unless they just catch a whiff as you move around. It is very light and just a bit too light for my taste. So the longevity was absolutely fine. As I say, about the 7-hour mark I would have reapplied, but it was still there as a skin scent. but it's just a bit too subtle. I am a fraghead. Generally I want to be able to smell the perfume on myself, and I want other people to be able to smell it as well. And this one, for me to be able to smell it on myself, sort of from around here, I was having to do that to waft it up. Whereas with the majority of my perfumes, I just move a little bit and I can smell my perfume. So the verdict is, I love how it smells. It is up my street in that sense. I love vanillas and I love almond, a beautiful note in perfumery. And this is done with such a lovely light touch. It's such an ethereal and subtle fragrance, but it is just too subtle for my taste. So if they did an intense version, I would be definitely chasing that down to try it out, because I love the way it smells. It smells pink and it smells pretty, but it doesn't smell mainstream. But I think most people who like a sweet gourmand or a fruity floral type thing will love it. But it does have something about it that makes it different. If only it was stronger, that is the only thing. If only it projected a bit more, made itself known a little bit more, then I think I would be contemplating buying a bottle. I've got one more note. The far dry down reminded me of the dry down from Pomelo Paradis. What I mean by that is that pink fruitiness and that lovely muskiness that's just so beautiful and so hard to explain. It did remind me of that, so that is a really good thing. And the other thing was, I just wrote that it's kind of like your skin but better. Once you get to that dry down phase where you're getting no projection really, or a little bit of projection, it smells like you just naturally have gorgeous smelling skin. And I think that's probably to do with musks, various musks that have been used in here. I have not looked up the notes. I am clueless as to what's in this at the moment, because I probably read about this a year or two ago, so I actually don't know what's in here. Maybe I'll put the notes up on the screen now for you, and yeah, it'd be good for me to read and see if my nose is picking out what I'm supposed to be picking out. But yeah, that's it. I think I'm done. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.